Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the raw, emotive power of cinematography by looking at something highly specific, visual prompts. We're going to get cinematic lighting techniques explained through an epic Viking voyage. We'll be uncovering exactly how specific lighting choices, camera angles, and atmospheric details actually work together to build a massive sense of scale. So if you've ever wanted to truly understand how a director or an artist manipulates light to make you feel a very specific way, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's get started.
Okay, just listen to this for a second and really feel the weight of these words. A majestic, awe-inspiring, and perilous journey. That right there, that is the emotional destination we're heading toward today. We aren't just looking at a few random pictures, we're tracing a highly deliberate, escalating visual narrative. By unpacking the text of these scene prompts, we're going to see exactly how you build an entire world from the ground up, starting with a mere whisper and ending with a literal thunderclap.
All right, here's our literal map for today's journey. First, prompting cinematic visuals. Second, low-key lighting and intimacy. Third, sunbursts, shadows, and scale. Fourth, depth of field and action. Fifth, climax through dramatic illumination. And finally, number 6, crafting your visual voyage. Let's jump into Section 1, prompting cinematic visuals, the escalating deconstruction. Moving right into our first breakdown, low-key lighting and intimacy. So, every epic story has to ground its audience first, right? You don't just kick things off with a massive explosion. You start with something incredibly tactile, something you can almost touch. Let's immerse ourselves in the exact text of this first prompt. It reads, close-up, tracking shot of a Viking warrior's weathered hands, tightly wrapping leather straps around the hilt of a steel sword. In the background, out of focus, wood smoke rises from a coastal Nordic village at dawn. Faint embers float through the chilly air. Dramatic, low-key lighting. Just reading that, you can literally feel the cold morning air and the rough texture of that leather. The absolute key here is low-key lighting. And hey, fun fact for you. Early filmmakers used to literally block out the sun with massive black tents just to pull off this moody look outdoors. It is a highly deliberate style that leans heavily into shadows and dark tones. By keeping the overall environment shrouded in darkness, the lighting actively forces us to pay attention to the very few things that are illuminated. In this case, it's those faint floating embers contrasting against the chill of a dawn village. It just pulls you in so close. So if we break this down into its 3 main visual pillars, it's pretty clear how this intimacy is constructed. We've got a close-up tracking shot, which totally denies us any wider context. We don't even see a face. The subject is just weathered hands on a sword hilt, a really quiet, tense moment of preparation. And the atmosphere blends that dawn chill with floating embers and that crucial low-key lighting. It's quiet, it's tense, and it's deeply intimate. All right, next up, sunbursts, shadows, and scale. This is our Scene 2 breakdown. Now we're stepping out of that quiet village and heading straight for the water. We are moving from intense intimacy to a sudden, massive sense of scale. Listen to the dramatic shift in the language here. Low-angle, slow-panning shot looking up at the dragon-headed prow of a massive Viking longship. Heavy ocean waves crash against the dark wooden hull. Towering, mist-covered fjords frame the background. The sky is dark, overcast, and moody, with sunbursts cutting through stormy clouds. This brilliantly illustrates the escalation of our perspective. We were literally just looking at hands a second ago. Now we're craning our necks up at this towering ship. The real MVP doing the heavy lifting here is contrasting light. You've got this intensely dark, moody sky brooding over towering fjords and a dark hull, but then it's suddenly pierced by these bright sunbursts cutting through the clouds. That harsh contrast, the oppressive darkness colliding with piercing rays of light, is exactly what generates that instant feeling of majesty. It makes the longship feel impossibly huge and imposing. Breaking it down again, the low-angle camera physically places us beneath the subject, making us feel tiny. The subject is this aggressive, dragon-headed prow, and the atmosphere surrounds this massive structure in mist and stormy clouds, which are then punctuated by those majestic sunbursts. We have officially, absolutely scaled up. Moving right along to Scene 3, depth of field in action. The ship is boarded, the voyage is underway, and it's time for some action.
listen to how the prompt directs our eyes right through the middle of a chaotic sequence. It reads, medium tracking shot across a row of fierce Viking warriors pulling massive wooden oars in perfect unison. Sea spray hits their faces, dampening their braided hair and fur cloaks, determination in their eyes. And then boom, we hit this crucial visual instruction: intense cinematic depth of field, slow motion movement. So what does intense cinematic depth of field actually do for us? Well, it's the technique of heavily blurring out the background or the foreground to sharply isolate the subject. Honestly, it's a lot like how your own vision tunnels when you're hit with a massive adrenaline rush. Amidst all that flying sea spray and the chaos of massive wooden oars, a shallow focus isolates the pure, raw determination in the warrior's eyes. The blur strips away the chaos, forcing us to lock onto their human exertion. Looking at the nuts and bolts of Scene 3, the camera is a medium tracking shot, literally keeping pace with the rhythm of the crew. The subject is the warriors themselves, but the atmosphere is wildly sensory. We're talking sea spray, damp hair, heavy fur cloaks, all playing out in slow motion. That depth of field, combined with the slow motion, perfectly highlights the raw, gritty toll of the journey. Which brings us to our final act: climax through dramatic illumination. This is the absolute crescendo of our visual voyage. The environment just completely takes over, driven by extreme illumination and incredibly vast open spaces. The final prompt is a beast: epic, wide drone shots sweeping past the fleet of long ships as they emerge from the foggy fjord into the vast, open, stormy ocean. Lightning flashes in the distant dark clouds, illuminating the restless sea. This is where extreme wide angles and highly dynamic weather are weaponized to establish a truly perilous climax. Notice that dramatic illumination? We are way past soft dawn embers now. We're talking sudden, highly volatile, high-contrast light sources, lightning. When lightning flashes across a pitch-black, stormy ocean, it instantaneously reveals just how vast and terrifying the environment really is. It creates this immediate, visceral sense of epic scope, awe, and most importantly, mortal danger. To wrap up our anatomy check, the camera is an epic wide drone shot, pulling us as far back from the action as possible. The subject is no longer just one ship, it's the entire fleet, and the atmosphere has transformed from a misty, enclosed fjord into the wide-open, restless ocean, lit only by flashing lightning. Our visual journey from micro to macro is officially complete. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark visual contrast we've achieved. We started with this intimate, incredibly quiet, low-key lighting and a tight close-up on hands, and now we've exploded into epic, volatile lightning on a sprawling ocean with a sweeping drone shot. This juxtaposition perfectly highlights a core truth: lighting and camera distance directly dictate the emotional scale of a story. As the creator, you are literally dictating the audience's heartbeat through these choices. Let's bring it all together. Crafting your visual voyage. Conclusion. As we wrap up this explainer, let's just take a step back and look at what we've actually uncovered. By simply deconstructing the text of 4 visual prompts, we've traced a masterful journey of lighting and scale. We moved an audience from quiet, tense preparation into roaring, epic peril. If you're looking to craft a compelling visual narrative of your own, keep these highly practical steps in your back pocket. Number 1, start intimate. Use low-key lighting to ground your viewer in the senses. Number 2, build scale. Throw in contrasting light like sunbursts against dark skies to introduce majesty. And number 3, expand to epic. Unleash dramatic illumination, like a sudden lightning strike, to reveal the full, awe-inspiring scope of your world. It's a structure that works because it taps directly into human psychology. Because at the end of the day, lighting isn't just about making things visible, right? It's about making things felt. Whether you are generating AI art, directing a short film, or outlining a novel, deeply understanding this escalation is easily one of your most powerful tools. So I'll leave you with this final thought. How will you use lighting and scale to illuminate your next